This is Worldview Report with host Brannon Howse.
Worldview Report commentary. In Canada, the Liberal government's dangerous expansion of euthanasia laws is set to open the floodgates to state-sponsored discrimination against people with disabilities. In a report from Slay News, more than 90% of Canadian babies diagnosed with Down syndrome are aborted before birth. Other disabled children often face the same fate. But the upcoming change is set for 2027, and it's worse. Canada, they plan to expand their euthanasia policy to include those suffering solely from disability or mental illness. This move, it has been met with near unanimous condemnation from disability groups. Even the United Nations Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities has raised alarms. The group is accusing Canada of engaging in Nazi-style state-sponsored eugenics. Disability rights organizations, including Inclusion Canada, they have been sounding the alarm for years, warning that people with physical disabilities are increasingly being pushed toward euthanasia due to the lack of adequate care or support. Tragically, these warnings, they have fallen on deaf ears. One very tragic story is circulating on X from Samantha Smith, a victim's advocate who reveals the horrifying reality of Canada's slippery slope. A nurse performed several assisted suicides at a care home, including one case where the family of a mentally disabled man chose euthanasia for him, even though he didn't want to die. The man was not terminally ill, wasn't elderly, and was not dying. Nevertheless, he was forced into death against his will because his family deemed him expendable. The account by Smith, well, it paints a grim picture. Quote, "They held his hand while he told them, 'I'm hungry and I'm thirsty.' That poor man didn't understand what was happening to him as he was pumped full of medication that would end his life," end quote. Despite the nurse's moral objections, they were told that it was their legal duty to carry out the assisted suicide procedure. It's just a procedure, that's what we're told. And where have you heard this before? The nurse, she couldn't continue, and she refused. But Smith points out that not everyone will have the moral strength to resist. What started as a push for so-called choice and dignity, well, it's turned into a nightmare of coercion and loss of life. Can we say murder? In countries where euthanasia is already legal, such as the Netherlands, 40% of euthanasia deaths, well, they occur without the patient's consent. In fact, in Canada, the situation is no better. The government, they have already offered euthanasia to Paralympians who only requested a mobility aid. Euthanasia has also been carried out on individuals like Alan Nicholas. He was euthanized after visiting his doctor with hearing loss. Leaked documents, they reveal that Ontario's euthanasia providers have tracked hundreds of possible criminal violations. Yet, not one case has been referred to law enforcement. Once euthanasia expands to include those with disabilities and mental illness, well, and that's going to happen in 2027, it's going to likely get much worse than the stories you just heard. For now, there is still time to stop this dangerous expansion, but the clock is ticking for Canada. But not only for Canada, but also for America, because you see, several Western states, they've passed or are considering passing assisted suicide laws that are very similar to those of Canada. But we have to resist. We cannot go down this path without at least Christians speaking up. I bet most Christians don't know that active euthanasia is openly taught as a sin in the Bible. Nope. You won't find euthanasia in your concordance, most of you. but it's in the Bible. Just go read the story of Saul and the young soldier, what King David had to say about it. That's in the Bible. God does not approve of active euthanasia. Thou shalt not murder might come to mind. One of the 10 Commandments. So will Christians speak up or be silent? I guess we're going to find out real soon.